Open line, talking with Debby Schriver, author of Whispering in the Daylight, a book that focuses on the children of Tony Alamo. Fascinating discussion. We talked about how much he loved his wife Susan. You showed us this album that he produced. Said, "I love you so much it hurts."
Yep.
When she died, this was a pivotal time, right?
It was a pivotal time. Susan died in 1982 of breast cancer. And when she died, when she was in her hospital room, one of the people I interviewed was there and said that in her last moments, she said, "Tony, when I die, you're going to have to break up the church. If you keep it, you'll wreck it." And she was kind of right and kind of not right. He certainly took it on, he kept it strong, but he took it on a different path. They were still an abusive group, but once she died, he really started scrambling for power. And the first thing he did was put her in a casket, put her in a wedding dress, and put her in the dining room of his house in Dyer, Arkansas. And he had his followers pray her to resurrection 24/7 for 6 months. And when it didn't work, he just came in there one day and said, "You know, you all are praying to the wrong God, you're not praying appropriately." He punished them all, and he introduced his new wife, Brigitte. Brigitte looked very much like Susan Alamo, and he was with her for only a month or two. She left him saying that he was trying to force her to get plastic surgery. And it's my belief, and hers too, by the way, that he was going to introduce her as the resurrected Susan.
Wow.
And I think he was just really worried about holding on to his followers because, as we said earlier, Susan was the face of the church. She was a charismatic person. She was the one that people came to when they came down to the altar.
Oh, really? Okay. And Taylor, you have that video back there. I'm talking to Taylor, our producer. If you could you run that video again? Because I think it is amazing to kind of see. This is just an old CNN story.
Yeah.
And now, is that him?
That's him. And those are some of the little children.
Now, he looks like Elvis to me.
Yeah, he wanted to look like Elvis. This is some artwork that, you know, that is outside his church. That looks like the church in Saugus in California. Saugus Canyon. He called himself a foundation first. That was a good tax write-off if you're a foundation.
And they're Nashville.
Yep. And isn't he something? That is Tony in his glory. And this is the day of the raid at Fouke, Arkansas.
So he was there in Arkansas when he was arrested?
He was not. He went on the lam, and they found him in Arizona. And they found him through his cell phone, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
And he actually said to the agent who arrested him, "How did you find me?" And the agent said it was divine intervention. So that was pretty good. But
and this would have been what year he was arrested?
2008. And right there in 2009 he was convicted. And that's when he's being taken away. He was convicted of violating the Mann Act, taking minors across state lines for sexual reasons, and he is saying there that he's just another Christian who's being persecuted by the United States government. And he was condemned to 175 years in the penitentiary with no hope for parole. And he continued to run the church. They had to move him from place to place because he would gather a large following in the prisons. And, you know, he had a lot of money, and that's how he did it.
Good grief. And you learned a lot about cults in general, right?
I did. And I think it's important maybe to do a disclaimer here. A cult in itself isn't good or bad. You can be a follower of the Grateful Dead and be a member of a music cult. So a cult is really a group who is pulled together by a common passion for something. what we're talking about here are highly abusive organizations. And a cult can be as small as a one-on-one relationship, a psychologist, a psychic, another person controlling another person, to as large as the Scientology church and larger.
Fascinating. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back. Wrap everything up. Be back right after this.